For months, One Nation's surge looked like a problem for the coalition, but now the Queensland-based party is threatening Labor in the country's most progressive state. 5 months out from Victoria's election, polling has Labor running third behind the coalition and One Nation. According to polls, Premier Jacinta Allan is the most unpopular leader in the country. Trying to turn around her electoral fortunes, today she unveiled new details of a plan to make working from home a human right. Premier, welcome to 7:30.
Good evening, Sarah.
Is your poor performance as Premier going to usher in the first One Nation coalition government in Australia?
Well, Sarah, every single day in this job, I've been fighting for working people, and regardless of what the polls say, that's what I'll continue to do. But particularly now in this context of One Nation, we have seen that the Liberal Party and One Nation, they can't govern without each other. And what I'm concerned about is what that means for Victorian working people. It means cuts to services. It means cuts to wages. It brings chaos at a time when working people and families, because of huge pressures, global pressures, inflationary pressures, they need a government focused on them, stepping in and providing help. And working from home is a good example of how we are stepping in and changing the system to help working people to save both time and money.
There were reports of a leadership challenge coming today. It came and went, but with an approval rating of -39, shouldn't you stand aside and give someone else a chance to improve Labor's performance?
Now, this is about fighting for those working people that need a Labor government on their side, and that's exactly what my colleagues and I are doing every single day. And we are united in this purpose, Sarah. We are united in hearing from Victorians, hearing about those challenges that are real. There might be global factors that are impacting on households here in Victoria and indeed around Australia. Our job is to hear that. But beyond hearing that is to also step in and provide real help, whether it's through the cost of living help we've been providing here in Victoria, like free public transport for a couple of months and then making it half price for the rest of the year is an example of how we've stepped in at a time when households have needed some of that assistance as a result of Donald Trump's war in the Middle East. But beyond that too, we've got to understand that there needs to be longer-term change to systems that are not working for working people anymore. And again, this is where working from home is an important step in that direction, because it is about giving people the right to work from home. And we know that working from home is good for families. It saves them time and money.
Yes, and
it's also good for the economy because it makes people more productive.
Let me just come in there, Premier, because most businesses in Victoria already provide flexible workplace arrangements. So what problem is it that you're trying to fix here?
Because we know workers are telling us that there are some who want to take away people's opportunity to work from home. It's not protected.
Where are those some? Well, who are those some, and where is the evidence that they're trying to do that?
Well, we have seen, we had a significant consultation program here where we had over 37,000 people respond to a survey that told us about their experiences, and thousands of those people, Sarah, told us that they had asked for the opportunity for work from home and it had been denied. We also know around the country there are Liberal politicians who want to take away people's opportunity to work from home. They want to force them back into the office. That's why it needs to be protected. And there's good reasons for this. There's evidence-based reasons for this. For example, CEDA's data, that shows us that workforce participation rates have increased
and that's why working from home. And that's why working from home appears to be actually working quite well in Victoria. But let me move on to another question. You were subject recently to horrible billboards in Victoria that we all saw depicting you as a witch. And we've seen violent or offensive political language elsewhere in the world that reflects some of the images that you were subjected to in Melbourne recently. We've seen some of that violent language actually translate into violent acts elsewhere in the world, particularly against female politicians. Could Australia be going down the same path?
Well, Sarah, that's exactly why I called it out. exactly why I call it out. There is absolutely no place for gendered attacks on any woman in any workplace. And this needed to be called out, and whether it's the support from Julia Gillard and others who've also called this out, you have to take a stand. You have to call this out, both for the sort of workplaces and societies we want to see today. But I've got 2 kids, a son and a daughter. I want to make sure that they can grow up in a world where there is no place for these gendered attacks. It's no place at all. And
you've just used the phrase "taking a stand." Let's talk about some of the issues that face you, and obviously that voters will be using to make their final determination about whether they no longer support a Labor government in Victoria, particularly on crime and corruption. So at the top of that list, obviously, is the infiltration of state infrastructure projects by union criminals. You've rejected the figure put forward by corruption buster Jeffrey Watson about how much money that crime and corruption has cost your state. He said it cost the state $15 billion. If Jeffrey Watson has the wrong number, what is the right number?
Well, Jeffrey Watson has since said that figure he claimed has been misquoted. So that figure remains in dispute. But
so
what's important is the immediate action.
Let me just come back to this. It matters. You have said that this is not the right figure. I want to know whether you have asked the question about what the number is and what the answer to that question is. How much has that crime and corruption in the CFMEU cost Victorian taxpayers?
Well, we have taken action, Sarah.
No,
we took
how much
immediate
has it
action
cost? How much
to give
has
police.
It cost?
Well, giving police the additional powers, giving the police additional powers, because there is absolutely no tolerance for these allegations of criminal behaviour, which is why immediate action was important. It's why Victoria Police have been given additional powers. The Labour Hire Authority here in Victoria has also been given additional powers. And that action is working. The police have laid 88 charges. The Labour Hire Authority has cancelled something like 150 construction industry licences. We're going after, the work is being done now to go after this criminal behaviour, but also to change the culture. And this is also important as a result of the work that's been done.
As you are well aware, Premier, that figure of $15 billion has landed very hard in Victoria. It's being used in all of the political advertising against you. It's a figure that's repeated by voters in Victoria all the time. So if I could come back to my question, I'm testing how curious you were to know what the actual figure was, the cost of this egregious crime and corruption in your state. What is the cost to the taxpayer?
Well, again, this is why I'm giving Victoria Police those additional powers and the Labour Hire Authority the additional powers to investigate this work now.
That is not an answer to the question. I am puzzled why someone in your position who was in charge of the big build should not, in the event of this revelation of a very large amount of money, a huge cost to the Victorian taxpayer, that you wouldn't pose the question as to how much it really cost if you thought that wasn't the figure. Have you not asked the question?
Well, Sarah, we have absolutely acted quickly and strongly. And this is by taking the action to support Victoria Police, to give them additional powers, to go after this criminal behaviour. And this is part of a broader program to change the culture. We have zero tolerance for this sort of behaviour, zero tolerance for this action. And that is why the actions that we have taken are seeing charges are being laid, construction industry licences are being cancelled, and we're backing the work of Victoria Police and the Labour Hire Authority. And also, too, there's further work to protect whistleblowers who want to make these claims, to require the construction industry companies who are responsible for these work sites to also report allegations into Victoria Police. This is immediate action right now, and it is immediate action that is working.
Let's talk about how corruption is combated in your state, and I know that all of the audience heard you not answer that question, I think 3 or 4 times. But moving on to the broader question of corruption, after lengthy campaigning, you've agreed to strengthen Victoria's weak anti-corruption system, but you're not going to bring it in until after the election, when it won't apply to you, the person who was the minister of the responsible for the big build. How do you think voters see a decision like that?
Well, Sarah, your characterisation and description of what's happened in Victoria is not correct. We have announced that we will strengthen IBAC's powers. We will do that in a careful and considered way. We have immediately established work to be able to bring legislation to the Parliament next year, and that legislation will be retrospective. So your characterisation of the changes we've made here is not correct. But also too, what we've done here as part of the work program to strengthen our integrity framework here in Victoria is also to understand that there needed to be change to what is known as the definition of corrupt conduct. Now, we've accepted that that needs to be changed. The Liberal Party here in Victoria hasn't, which renders all those other changes toothless if you don't make that key change to the definition.
It was an important point you made, so to be clear, that new legislation would apply to any decision that you made while you were Minister.
Yes, we've already announced that.
Well, thank you for the clarification. And just very briefly on today's news about Desi Freeman, we've seen 2 more arrests. Obviously, this is the investigation of those people who helped Desi Freeman evade arrest over a long period of time. Do you expect to see more arrests in that investigation?
Well, look, this is again thanks to the strong work of Victoria Police. They are putting every resource behind bringing justice to this matter. And on days like today, my thoughts always go to the families of Vadim and Neil, who their grief is with them forever. Also to the men and women of Victoria Police who lost 2 colleagues, 2 friends, and at the same time are undertaking this incredibly important investigative work to bring justice to this matter.
Premier, thank you very much indeed for joining us and for having you on the programme on this particular day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.